Hi everyone, looks like we have a pretty full room. Great. So Happy New Year. This is a great way to start a year because you're here networking with everybody, getting to know these wonderful people. IEEE really brings some of the brightest minds together with great ideas to share and cool new innovations and collaboration we can work on together. So, okay, I guess the presentation decided that I took too long. Can we look at those cool spinny things? So this presentation was a great opportunity for me to actually go and look back at my whole year at Qualcomm, because I started at Qualcomm basically a year ago. On December 31st last year, well, I guess 2 years ago, I hopped on a plane from New York City with 2 cats and a boyfriend, and arrived in San Jose at 10 p.m., quickly dropping off the cats and rushing off somewhere to celebrate the new year, and kicked it off to a great start. So my name is Natalia. I usually go by Nat. Apparently I'm one of the only 2 Natalias at Qualcomm, which is rare because at IBM there was a ton of them. And I work as a flight design verification engineer at Qualcomm Atheros. And today I will speak to you about what makes working at Qualcomm exciting for me. So here's a basic overview of what I'm going to cover today. First I'm going to go through some background. And feel free to actually ask me questions anytime throughout the presentation. Just raise your hand or speak up. Then I'm going to talk to you about how I ended up at Qualcomm, then what I actually do every day, and what were some of my career concerns coming into a new position, switching jobs, and what kind of solutions I found for that, and as well the social concerns. So we'll go over that. So here's some of my background. I went to high school in Brooklyn Technical High School, and back then I was very interested in chemistry and biology. And the only reason I started considering engineering my senior year when I was applying for colleges was because of the first robotics competition. I was part of this team for all 4 years of my high school, and actually I was pretty pleased to find that they had this picture of me working on one of our robots hanging outside of our alumni office. So I thought it was pretty cool. And actually the first robotics kickoff is today for this year. So any of you who are mentoring that, it's a really great program to get engineers and females into engineering, getting kids into engineering. So after first robotics, I was really inspired to start considering majors like biomedical engineering and chemical engineering. And so I went to Columbia University with that intent in mind, and planning to go into a PhD program right after school. And after going to a lecture about reverse engineering and iPod given by a wonderful professor at Columbia, whose name is Dave Valancourt, I was inspired to go and take an Intro-EE class. So after 1 semester, I was totally hooked. And so I graduated from Columbia with electrical engineering degree, bachelor's and master's in 2011 and 2012 respectively. And you see a beautiful picture of recently Columbia. And I think something important that I want to mention is that while I was at Columbia, I was heavily involved with IEEE. IEEE is what really opened up the networking door for me. Because before I was going along and doing my studies and being part of certain clubs on campus. But Chris came along and she really got our chapter going and getting us connected more with the industry, engineering industry, because for some time we were connecting more to the financial industry, and now we're like all against it. And it really inspired me to start speaking more, volunteering more, and starting all these cool programs to inspire more engineers to do electrical engineering and computer engineering in Columbia, and getting more females involved as well. So after I graduated from Columbia, instead of going for a PhD, I went to work for IBM Systems Technology Group. There's a whole different story about that involves me working in clean room a lot. But I decided to try experiencing using the skills that I learned during my coursework, which was digital logic design, and I really wanted to work on the microprocessors at that time because I took a lot of computer architecture classes, and they were really fun for me. So I worked in the System C and power processors for IBM. Has anybody heard of a mainframe? So that's basically what a System C processor is embedded in. It's super powerful, very resilient, and it's basically what's used in large banks and ports, airports, airplanes, and hospital systems. I in particular worked on that RACE team, which is on-chip memory design and characterization team. And you can actually see one of our chips here. There's a memory control unit, and it's hooked up to the on-chip memory, so EDRAM and SRAM. and my team in particular liked working with Instagram. And I worked on array built-in self-test, which is kind of like a microprocessor by itself, because it can write different patterns and test cases to the memory at the beginning of power up the processor of the machine. And if it finds there are certain errors, and there could be, because when you have large amounts of memory, there can be an error, something can be broken. It will actually find solutions and fix them on chip. So that was pretty fun for me. And I worked at IBM for about a year and a half, from June 2012 until December 2013. So at that time, I decided that it was about time for me to try to get into the communication systems and technologies that had to do more with mobile technologies. Because mainframes have been around for a while, and while my team was amazing and I was learning a lot, I wanted to really try to see what Silicon Valley was all about, get into this more technologically fueled field and area, and really experience. So I started applying to a bunch of different West Coast companies online, and that took weeks of resume and LinkedIn profile polishing, as you guys may be familiar with. And I really learned that companies definitely need better online application portals. I mean, every time you have to go and enter the information over and over again. So if any of you would like to work on that in the future, if you're computer science, or try to revolutionize the process, that would be amazing. You would make a lot of people happy. So what I learned as well was that the offers that I got really came from personal connections. So this is why networking is incredibly important. And everybody who's in this room right now, when you go home, make sure you go and watch the networking lecture that's going on in the front room right now. Because I'm sure you heard this hundreds and hundreds of times, but I cannot emphasize to you enough how important networking is. You will keep seeing people over and over again in the least expected places. And when you talk to somebody from a company in person, then you are actually faced, you have a personality. They know that you're not insane, that you're not making something up, and you actually do live up to that piece of paper that you submit online. And they get hundreds, thousands of pieces of papers online of candidates that could be qualified for the position. So it makes you stand out. And so the two offers that I got, one was actually through a conference, the Society of Women Engineers Conference in 2013. I was looking at several different companies there, and the company that actually made me an offer found my resume there and texted me to come over. And so they talked to me in person, and after that it was the whole process through different interviews and different people. But the initial connection was in person, and we talked quite a while there. And then the second offer I got through a Columbia IEEE friend, because he passed my resume in at Qualcomm. He was working there, and he knew that the design reputation team working on Wi-Fi chips was hiring. So he basically put my resume down on the manager's desk. The manager asked me to come over and talk to him for about 25 minutes. I liked the job, he liked me. So after that, I had like a full-blown interview with a bunch of grilling and lots of nervous studying all the different algorithms. But it was totally worth it, and it was cool for me. And I got to know the people there. So what was different and what made me decide between these two offers? Because they were both great. Well, when I was interviewing at Qualcomm, I actually got to talk to people there in person. I got to visit the site. I got to see what it's like to work there. And I knew exactly what I would be doing. They were like really telling me like what kind of cool things they were doing. And the other company, it was a great opportunity actually, like rotational engineer opportunity. So I would try 3 different things. But the big difference for me there was that I didn't actually go on site. And I talked to people on the phone only. So I really wanted to do something more with wireless technologies, as opposed to something a little bit more random, which was still cool, like it was developing internal tools. But I got a lot of internal tools at IBM, and having industry-grade tool experience is actually very beneficial to you, because then you can move easier between different companies. So keep that in mind whenever you're working with different companies. And finally, because I got to meet the people there, I knew that I could work with them. I knew that I would have a good time, that the manager was good, and he would listen to me, and he would help me advance. And that's why I chose to work with Qualcomm. And one thing that really pointed out that was a good fit for me later was in my first week at Qualcomm, I got a phone call. You see these random images on different slides. So this one is because I got a phone call from a recruiter trying to recruit me for a design verification position for Qualcomm. So that was a funny conversation with them. So does anybody know about Qualcomm? Cool. So Qualcomm is a world leader in next generation wireless technologies. And for more than 29 years now, they have been really leading the evolution of wireless communications, connecting people closer to entertainment, information, and to each other. So do you guys know what kind of devices we work on that go in this field that help connect people together?
You're making the chips that go into cell phones and your laptop, right?
Right, several different types of chips. Yep. We make the Snapdragon chip, which is like pretty much ubiquitous in like all of your cell phones, Android cell phones. We bundle it nicely with LTE. And we also make the Wi-Fi chips. And we work on a lot of different initiatives in the future technologies, software-enabled solutions for the Internet of Things devices, and the Wi-Fi chips. So I work in that in the Silicon Valley. We have over 190 locations worldwide. And that makes it pretty cool because I get to work with people from Germany, from China, and it's really quite cool to like get their perspective and be able to work with them. And of course, people from San Diego, which is where our headquarters are located. In Silicon Valley itself, we already have 8 locations, so you get to move around between different campuses there too. In San Diego, it's more centralized. It's a huge campus with choppers flying by because there's a military base nearby. And we have over 30,000 employees worldwide. So what do I do at Qualcomm? So as I mentioned, I work on the Wi-Fi chips. I work as a physical layer design verification engineer for the next generation Wi-Fi 802.11 technology. And so for those of you who are familiar with the OSI model, I am basically down here at the physical layer, where we receive frames from the MAC layer, which is media access control. And then we transfer those frames into signals and send them over the radio. And also on the receive domain, we get the samples over the air and we send them back to the MAC layer. So as a design verification engineer, I have to design a test bench around this. So we kind of have to emulate it. And eventually it will be hooked up into the whole system of layers for verification on a larger scale. But we work closely with design engineers, and the design engineers usually work on particular units within the file layer. So like in InterSmith domain, you would have TXMD, the frequency domain, time domain components, the FFT, lots of algorithms all around. And so like all these little blocks are being done by different teams, but they might not know like how they all go together too well. So it's our job as design verification engineers to work with the designers on a larger scale to make sure that all the stuff has correct interfaces, that it works together, that we send the right feedback, and that the PI actually works, that we just did something. So that's actually a huge milestone for us when we first get the first packet to pass. So we start by running basic sanity cases. So it's just like, does it work? Can we transmit? Can we receive? So it might not be like exactly the right information that got transmitted, but you know, as long as it had every part of the frame, that's cool. And then we also implement golden models in System C to verify against HDL, which is hardware development language, and to make sure that on bit level, every block works, which for receive can be pretty tough. And after we finish debugging initial cases, then we try to test every possible scenarios for a wireless chip to work in. So like when you have multiple stations all in the same room, you know, many laptops all working next to each other, or different rates, different types of packets, different lengths, aggregate, non-aggregate, all kinds of stuff. It has to work. If you're going to put our name on it, it has to work in every case. You're going to say like, oh, you can only use it if you're alone in the room and you're like sitting right next to the modem. Okay, great. So that's pretty much what we go through. I can go into details if you'd like later. We work with small teams, and my team in particular is 6 people. They break us up based on which part we work on, we work on many different Wi-Fi chips, different technologies. So you can be you can have the same function but work on a different team on a different project. So 6 people on my team, and we are majority female. Yes?
Qualcomm have teams competing against each other?
No, not really. That would be evil. We usually hire by need and we try, because the Wi-Fi team came from Qualcomm, from Atheros, the policy there was stay lean and strong. So we try to not get bloated too much and do things as are there needed. I think that's a pretty good policy. So somehow my team is majority female. We have 5 females and 1 dude, and then there's our manager. I'm not sure how this happened because our sister design verification teams are like the traditional 80-20 ratio at best. And then we got our team. So I think there's something there. And we see ourselves as scouts because of my manager's personality. We always try to embrace and adapt fresh, cutting-edge tools and methodologies. And of course, this kind of policy will depend always on your manager. So make sure that when you are interviewing with companies and with different teams, like within the same company, you might totally click with one team, and then you might completely have a terrible experience with a different one. It's very much based on your manager. So make sure it works for you. So when I was coming to Qualcomm, first I had a lot of concerns because I was switching my domains completely. Like I was moving from processors to communications hardware, and so while digital logic is there and the fundamental skills are there, I was kind of concerned that it might be tough to just change all this. And I mean that was also the exciting part because I was going there so I could learn this stuff. And switching tools was also a concern of mine because IBM we used VHDL, while Qualcomm was much more like into system Verilog and UVM, which I have never used before. Well, I touched system Verilog in school, but not at my job. But in the tools as well, we used internal tools at IBM, and Qualcomm is very much industry grade. We love working with like all these companies like Synopsys and getting the latest tools. So I will explain the World Cup picture later. The idea is take a deep breath and learn. Don't be scared. Life is about challenges. You're starting this new job because you made the decision that you want to learn something new, try something new in your life. So usually your fundamental classes will translate pretty well. Hardware description languages are, once you know one, you can transition to the other one, learn the syntax as you go along. And usually there's training that you can take so you can learn this stuff. And as you're writing code or you have somebody's old code that worked with some old hardware that you need to change to work with the new hardware, you will see the constructs and you will learn how to use it. Then scripting. I hope you do scripting in school because you don't want to repeat the same thing over and over again by hand. So no matter what you do, no matter where you work, no matter what type of engineering, scripting is going to be great for you. Like Perl, Python. As I know people hate Perl, but it can be pretty useful sometimes. Yeah, and you will end up writing a lot of scripts no matter where you are. Because while you have system Verilog and UVM, you will want to have like ways to run things. And if you're going to have thousands of test cases to run, you're not going to write them by hand. And one thing I'm really grateful for Columbia is object-oriented programming. Our first language was Java, and that really got me familiar with that whole concept. And that's basically the main thing in system Verilog and UVM. Universal verification methodology is what we use. So,
which tool do you use for system that system Verilog, system C?
oh, like which code? I mean, it's just system C coding. We drive our system C mode. Oh, you mean like what we program in?
Yeah.
I usually have a Linux terminal. I get into it through the Linux client and just run there. And then we have like command lines to run the whole code. We usually drive our system C models with system Verilog. So there's like something called UVMC. So like, because they are golden models, we want to drive the same input to both system Verilog and system C, right? So we originated system Verilog test bench, and then it gets translated. This one is like a push function that you use. It's pretty cool. So any other questions? All right, cool. Well, one wonderful thing that I discovered at Qualcomm is corporate training, which unfortunately there wasn't as much of it at IBM. There's a ton of Wi-Fi training, which they repeat a few months, every few months. So there's like a 2-day Wi-Fi training, and then there's a 5-day Wi-Fi training, and it counts as work. And you go there, and it's pretty cool because they explain everything to you. They give you all the books, they answer all the questions you might have. You can take it for the first time to learn stuff, or you can take it as a refresher course, which I'm planning to do again. Because as you go between different projects, it's a great time to go and learn new tools or catch up on whatever you might have forgotten or missed. They teach you a lot of coding. I've taken embedded C++ for fun, and let's see, Perl programming to learn some of the more intricate coding ways. And communications courses, there are hardware hacking courses where they actually give you the hardware, like Snapdragon processor on the board, and you can like try doing graphics design with it. It's pretty awesome. They also have like non-tech coursework, so like you can learn how to be great at business or like understanding finance or how to use office tools and whatever it is, or like learning ergonomics. So anywhere you want to go. We have like entire tracks dedicated to this. And if a course is not available for what you want to learn, you can actually just go and request it. And if enough people request it, they will do a course. Or if you're really adamant about doing it soon, you can like talk to your manager or poke your director to do it. And in addition, so this is where the World Cup picture comes in. So I was taking System Verilog course first online and UVM online as well at Qualcomm. But then nothing really replaces taking the course in person, especially when you get to do lab exercises in between, under the guidance of the professor. So I was taking this course that was paid by Qualcomm at Xilinx. And it was just right around the time of the World Cup. And engineers love World Cup. They love soccer. So at Qualcomm, we had like the break room completely filled out with people whenever there was a game on. So that was really fun. You could hear people like cheering or like it's like somebody's about to score. And they're like, so that was cool. So at Xilinx, the instructor actually arranged our schedule around the Germany versus Brazil game. Any of you familiar with that game? All right. So he gave us a big time break where you could like work in your lab, and you can also take a break. And you could start lab first and go later, or you could like go right away and then do the lab later. So a lot of us decided that for the first 15 minutes we're going to work in the lab because the score is usually like 1-0, 2-1, or like 0-0. So it's going to be a while before somebody scores. Well, I'm checking my phone and I see like 10 minutes in, there's like already a few goals. I'm like, what's going on? I have to go now. So that's how I ended up watching the World Cup with like Xilinx and Intel and Qualcomm and all kinds of different employees there. And it was pretty cool. And poor Brazil got decimated. Right. Okay. So another way to learn at Qualcomm is they offer $10,000 in tuition every year. So you end up with a lot of people taking Stanford courses or courses at local universities or wherever you are located. You can do online programs or you can go in person. The stipulation is you work for Qualcomm for 2 years, but if you're working on a master's degree, it's totally worth it. Plus, you're working for a company that's pretty cool. And of course, learn by doing. So you are there to learn and try things. Take on things that you don't know how to do and learn from documentation, if there's any. There's not always documentation. Ask people questions, talk to them, and just pick up whatever you need to do. And it's at Qualcomm, I found that people ask each other stuff all the time. We're constantly teaching each other. And that's how you move forward and you actually build bonds with people too. So how about the social concerns? So when I was moving out there to San Jose and to Qualcomm, that same friend that I had passed my resume in, I decided to ask him what it was like to work there for him, and asked him like if people actually hang out together, if people do anything fun, and his answer was no. He's basically like, no, nobody really talks to each other. We just go home. Everybody has their own thing. He's like, well, okay, that's weird. That can't be true. I guess I'll try it out. So I was really worried about that and adjusting to the new area. But, well, there are always a few things that you need to keep in mind. Companies have a lot of resources to make stuff fun for you, so you just need to take advantage of them. So he went home and he didn't talk to anybody. That's why he didn't know about all the things that were happening. Qualcomm has a lot of organizations and interest groups within it. So I in particular have joined Qualcomm Women in Science and Engineering, and I'm a board member. You can actually see a picture of us, our board members here prior to our holiday party that we had last year, where we did improv that was inspired by Kangsha. Okay. And these girls over here, we did a hackathon together, so anybody who was part of the QIs group could join. And these two are actually part of my team. So because we have so many females in my team, like all three of us are part of the board. And this girl over here, she actually went to Columbia with me. And we never really talked back then because we didn't really know each other, but she was in the same class as me through my master's program. And somehow both of us ended up on the same team, even though she went to join Qualcomm much earlier than me. And Qualcomm is such a huge organization. So it really goes to show that it's a small world and you will see people over and over again. So don't piss off the guy sitting next to you in the classroom, even if he's chewing gum during class, because you might be working with him or under him. I see something there. Cool. So we also have a thing called University to Qualcomm, or U to Q. You might notice this trend, we put a Q in everything. And it's supposed to stand for 0 and a 1, the way Qualcomm draws it, for communications. And it's basically open to fresh graduates within the first 3 years of their graduation. And we have a lot of fun events like happy hours, dodgeball and trampolines, laser tag, iGame, all kinds of stuff, video games, of course. And so it's pretty cool. And I joined the board for that as well. But to get involved, you don't have to actually join the organizational committee, but you will have more fun if you do, because then you get a group of people that you really bond with. So go to these communities, go to these events, because you will meet people. They might be strangers now, but they can be your best buds in just a little bit. And have fun. So then we also have this thing called Q clubs, Qualcomm clubs. And if you form a club, Qualcomm will give you $500 or more to buy whatever it is that you need for your club. And so I decided that we really needed to have some foosball, which we got inspired to form after the Soccer World Cup. And our Portuguese friend here taught us how to play it well. So we got $500 and went out and bought a foosball table, a really nice tornado kind. So now we're really into it. We have 2 foosball tables, and people are talking about having championships and parties and stuff. So it's really cool. And you got this group of people now who just like really are bonded together, because we play together, we work together, we teach each other stuff, work and play, and we go hiking together. As you can see, like a lot of us from Qualcomm, because we got to know each other, actually from training as well. Training helps, because when you go to training, you meet people for the first time. We went to the Holi Festival. It's an Indian festival where you throw colorful paint. So go to these things, make friends, and actually talk to people. Don't eat alone at your desk. Just because you don't know anybody doesn't mean you can just go sit down next to somebody in a break room and be like, hey, what's up? We did have wine and chocolates for QIs. Oh yeah, like my bottom point still says down here, if it's missing, fill the gap. I might have to say this gastro club. So like more food tasting, the beer goes along with it. But U2Q throws a lot of things with the happy hours. The next one we're doing is actually going to be at a craft beer brewery. So I'm looking forward to that one. It's my favorite one. So talk to people. Talk to people at tables during lunch. Talk to people in the break room. You're making your tea, talk to somebody. Because if nobody talks to you, you're not going to find out new things. Majority of the hike suggestions I got in the Bay Area and all these wonderful new events came from talking to people during these little breaks and joining, going to Qualcomm events and even all hands meetings. So how about the area? Exploring the area. So a lot of suggestions came from people I work with, but also remember that you still have your friends that might be in the area. Especially it helps for Silicon Valley, because a lot of your friends might end up going there as being engineers, and we have like a vast like swarms of companies around there. You can like go across the street and apply to a different company if you want to. And people have done that. Like there are stories with like our 2 buildings located next to another building, and like somebody went in. So reach out to your friends, invite people over. Like I would invite Akanksha over, and we would have fun in Japantown and stuff. Then there's always IEEE. They're all the organizations that are in the area. So join the IEEE chapters, societies, or affinity groups. And I just got involved with women in engineering for the first time in my life, and it's been fantastic. I got to volunteer as part of that with the Boy Scouts. They had a female component, like teaching kids all these different engineering concepts, but also putting on talks for professional women and men. And keep in mind, all of these groups, QI's Women Engineering Suite, they're open to men. So go to those, and you will learn a lot, actually. So you're supporting the cause. You're trying to promote women. And so as long as you're doing that, you can still enjoy all the other parts. Career fairs at SWE, I know a lot of guy friends who have jobs there. So it's not just closed off to women. Yep. So I also joined Society of Women Engineers and found out that they're doing something on my day. It's called Wildest Engineering. And it doesn't have a robotics component. So I'm definitely going to take charge of that. And so you can have a lot of fun with it. As you can see here, because of my IEEE involvement, I get to go to these fun lunches or dinners that Chris sometimes puts on whenever she's in the area, connecting all the people together so we can talk to each other, find out what's up, what's new, what we can do, and what kind of new projects and ideas we can come up with to make the world a more interesting place and to inspire more engineering. Of course, there are also meetups. You guys familiar with the Meetups website? Bay Area is really into that, and I'm sure many other places are as well. And it's all kinds of stuff. It's hiking, volunteering, brainstorming. There are meetups specifically just for coming up with startups. You can go exploring new trails that have not even been made yet, and you can create stuff together, build stuff together, and also drink together if you want. And there are all kinds of conventions in the area. So if there is a IEEE conference or a SWE conference, or a AnimeCon or a Comic-Con, you can go to those, and they can be pretty fun. So there's always a lot to explore, and in the Bay Area in particular, I love hiking, and I love that this bipolar kind of aspect of it, that you have like this beautiful nature, and like there are like all these vast areas that are just completely untouched by humans. Well, at least they're kept clean. And then there's like this really high-tech component where you can go to a hackathon and like try to come up with something new technology with somebody, just off the bat. It's pretty cool. So I have some party advice for you before we finish this talk, and there is always some. Embrace opportunities as they come your way. So when I was working for IBM, I lived in the Hudson Valley, and I was planning to explore a lot of things there. While it might not be the most well-known place, it had a lot of beautiful hiking spots and museums and restaurants that I wanted to visit before I would leave the area. I thought I would be there for a while, but my time was gone pretty quickly because I decided to move to a different area. So I skipped out on a lot of things, and I kind of regret that. So I want to go back and explore some more. So embrace opportunities and everything your area or location has to offer while you're still there, because next thing you know, you're going to be moving on to a different job or a new place. Also choose carefully. Make sure that the things that sound exciting are actually also worth the while, you know? That you're actually going to have a good time doing the things that you will do. It's not just because somebody told you that it's great. And this particularly goes for your managers and for your teams. So at Qualcomm, if you didn't like your manager and you didn't have a good time with your team, after 1 year, you can choose a different team to go to. Of course, you'll have to go through the internal interview process, but it's still something to do. And be honest with yourself. Like a lot of people might try to tell themselves that, you know, things are not that bad, even if they're not actually having a good time. But if you find yourself stagnating, or that you're not learning enough, or you're just not clicking with people, then do something about it. And I knew that I wanted to go to a technological hub, which was San Jose. So I did something about it. Well, a lot of people at IBM would just talk about it. And this is an advice that I carry from my professor at Columbia University. When I was trying to make decisions about whether to do a PhD or go into industry or where to go and where to live, he told me, do what you think will make you the person you want to be in 5 years from now. That includes a lot of things, not just career, life too. So just think about that. And that's about it. So thank you very much, guys.
Questions, anybody? No?
Yep.
Is the University of Qualcomm event online? Is it open to students as well, or is it just for employees?
Oh, it's for employees for the first 3 years after graduation. Of course, if you know somebody. Yeah. Also, Qualcomm is very open for like giving students the opportunity to learn what we work on and what we do. And we have a lot of alumni from IEEE within Qualcomm. And we are very open to having people reach out to us, and we can work with you to like give you tours or do talks or send speakers, anything like that. So just let us know.
Okay.
Cool.
We have a little review.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.